Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Playtech TV. My name is Kevin, and today we're going to be checking out the MSI GS60 Ghost Pro. This is with the 3K display and the GTX 970M. So let's dive right in and take a look at the exterior of this awesome gaming laptop. So it features a black brushed aluminium chassis, which I think looks really awesome, really aggressive, very stylish. Now design-wise, it's very sleek and thin, and the MSI logo actually illuminates on the back as well, so it looks really good. I just find this to be a very premium and serious looking laptop in terms of its design and exterior. I just really like it. Now in terms of I/O, we're seeing absolutely nothing on the front. On the left hand side, we're seeing a vent, a secure lock, the kind of interesting placed AC input, a twin USB 3.0, a mic jack and a headphone jack. Round the back we're just seeing more vents, and on the right hand side we're seeing another vent, an Ethernet port, mini display port, HDMI, a multi-card reader, and another USB 3.0 connection. So let's dive into the specs and see what this guy's packing. So processor wise, we're seeing an Intel i7-47HQ. That's a 22 nanometer quad core CPU. Now it features a 2.5 gigahertz base clock and a 3.5 gigahertz boost clock. Now it also features a 15.6 inch 3K display that's 2880 by 1620. Now RAM, DDR3 16 gigabyte kit, so that's a 2 times 8 gigabyte kit, very impressive there. Now GPU, this is what everybody likes. So it features the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970M with 3 gigabytes of video memory. An incredibly powerful GPU in this gaming laptop. Now storage wise, we're seeing dual SSDs, dual 128 gigabyte SSDs in RAID 0, which make it very snappy and turns on very fast. And also a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM HDD for your mass storage. Now size-wise is coming in at 390 millimeters by 266 millimeters by 19.9 millimeters. So very thin, very sexy. I really like that. And of course it features wireless AC. Now let's talk about that gorgeous display we're seeing. So it's a 3K IPS display. It looks amazing, and with 3K obviously you get a lot of screen real estate, although you still have to use Windows scaling up to about 150%, so that kind of sucks because it doesn't really work that well. But you know, aside from that, it's really good, lots of screen real estate, it just looks amazing, and when you watch movies on it and stuff like that, it's awesome, and to game on, it's fantastic. IPS also means you don't get the vertical or horizontal color shifts you get with a TN panel, so multiple people can be viewing content on it from multiple angles and it'll look just fine. You won't get horrible color shifting. Now sound wise, it was pretty good. It was decent. The volume does go decently loud, and it is pretty good. When you start getting higher up in the volumes, it can be a little bit tinny at times, but overall it was yeah, pretty solid. I'd give it probably about an 8 out of 10 in terms of audio quality. Now the keyboard is excellent. It's designed by SteelSeries, and I thought it was phenomenal. The first time I used a GS60, I commented on how good the keyboard is, and yeah, they're just so good. It's probably the best one you'll ever use on a laptop. So for typing, it's excellent. For gaming, it's also great because of its anti-ghosting, so that's really good, and the lighting effects are awesome and all customizable within the SteelSeries engine. Now the touchpad is nice and big, and obviously with a 3K display they had to up the sensitivity quite high. But yeah, sometimes it just felt like it was a bit too sensitive, and it kind of is a reverse of the issue I had with the Nitro. Getting gestures to work, sometimes they work too easily, whereas on the Nitro I just couldn't get them to work at all. So yeah, I found it okay. It was decent. It's probably better than the Nitros, but it still wasn't that good. But if you're gaming on it, or it's just going to be sitting in one place for long periods of time, you're probably going to be connecting a mouse up to it. Or if you're gaming, you really should be connecting a good gaming mouse up to it and using a light. So it's not that bad, but yeah, it's just okay. We'll leave it at that. Now webcam. Now this was good. So it features a 30 FPS 1080p webcam, and that's, you know, most of them these days they just chuck your average Joe 720p webcam in it and it's done. Where this is cool. I'm glad MSI took some time and put a really good webcam in it, so that's going to look awesome for Skype calls. If you're going to be making videos, it's really good for that too. So yeah, it's going to be really good, and I thought it was one of the better webcams I've seen on a laptop recently. Now the performance was top notch. We'll get into the benchmarks. So in Intel Extreme Tuning Utility, the benchmark within that, it scored 708 marks. The CPU did pretty well. Now in Unigine Valley on the Extreme HD preset, it scored 36.4 frames per second average, so it stayed over 30 FPS. Then in Unigine Heaven 4.0, this DirectX 11 1080p, everything maxed out. It scored 34.4 frames per second average, so another good solid, over 30 frames. And then with Heaven again, everything maxed out, this time OpenGL 1080p, it scored 30 frames per second flat. So very good there in Heaven. Now onto some games. So Tomb Raider, this was everything maxed out 1080p, it scored 53.4 frames per second average. And Bioshock Infinite, this was once again everything maxed out 1080p, and it scored 72.2 frames per second average. So really, really good performance coming out of it. So for your high-end games, you're probably going to be able to play them on medium to high settings at 1080p with maybe the filters off or the filters down quite low. With filters all the way up, you're probably going to have to drop it down to, say, a medium setting. And then for lower requirement games, you're going to be able to probably play them at 3K quite nicely. So I was very impressed. I mean, these GTX 970s are really powerful. I mean, they're more powerful than previous generation GeForce GTX 880Ms. So really impressive performance coming out of this gaming laptop. Now heat-wise, yeah, it got pretty toasty. So during that Intel Extreme Tuning Utility benchmark, the CPU went all the way up to 83 degrees Celsius, but there was no thermal throttling, so that's good. So no thermal throttling, but it was getting quite toasty. And during the Unigine Valley Extreme HD benchmark, the GPU went up to 76 degrees Celsius. Once again, no thermal throttling, but yeah, that's getting pretty high in terms of temperatures. That's okay as long as it's not thermal throttling, but it's an issue these thin and light, powerful gaming laptops seem to be running into, is quite a lot of heat. And with that heat came a lot of noise as well. Yeah, so in the sport mode, it's pretty loud when it's on full load during an intense game. So you're going to want to turn the volume up quite high to sort of compensate for that, or just invest in a good pair of gaming headphones with good noise isolation, and that should fix the issue. But yeah, it does get quite loud when you're gaming on it. Now battery life was a bit disappointing. It's coming in with about 3 to 3.5 hours with you know, sort of casual general use. Obviously it's going to change depending on you know, if you're gaming or other things, but I mean if you're gaming, honestly you're going to want to plug it in to the charger anyways, because you're going to need the battery boost. But yeah, so overall, yeah, battery life was a little bit low. I would have liked to have seen about a minimum of 4 hours. But yeah, 3.5 is probably what you're going to see generally, and that's just a bit low to me. Now, software-wise, it comes pre-installed with Windows 8.1. It comes with XSplit Gamecaster, which is pretty cool. Norton Internet Security. Plus, it comes with MSI Dragon Gaming Center, which is actually a pretty cool little utility. It gives you a lot of system information. And you can switch between the different modes, sort of. So it has this sport mode, that's for like gaming stuff like that, comfort mode, which is more general use, and the green mode, which is more for, you know, just saving battery and stuff like that. So I thought that was a pretty cool little program that MSI threw in. Also, the SteelSeries engine is excellent for customizing the keyboard just the way you want it, and setting up the lighting with all the different lighting effects that you can, and having it all looking exactly the way you want. That's a really cool program. So in conclusion, what do I think of it? Well, I think it's an absolutely fantastic gaming laptop, and it ticks all the main boxes I look for in a gaming laptop. However, there are a few downsides. The battery life, as we just discussed, is one of them. And the heat and noise levels were a bit high for my liking. But those aside, it's excellent. The performance is phenomenal. It's going to do you very well for all your gaming needs. And with a 3K display, even if you're not a gamer, giving you all that screen real estate is really handy in a nice thin laptop. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you liked it. Please subscribe to Playtech TV. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.